So as the thumbnail says, we're going to be making a Kerfmaker. I have some projects coming up where I need dados cut into the various pieces of wood, and obviously we don't have a dado stackers in the UK, or they're very hard to get hold of. One of these Kerfmakers would be ideal for me. So I've made one out of some oak that I had lying about, so here's the video, hope you enjoy. I've been in the garage today having a bit of a tidy up, and I've come across this scrap bit of oak. Not quite sure what type of it. I think it could be white oak, but it's split down one side, and I just chucked it to one side, never really used it. It's about 18mm thick. Haven't really got a use for it, so what I thought I'd do is have a go at making a Kerfmaker.
So I adjusted the rip fence so it was just slightly smaller than the width of the oak, and I cut off the damaged rough edge. I then flipped the oak over and I cut a nice straight flat edge on the other side. Next I moved on to setting the rip fence up to 20mm, and I went ahead and cut 2 lengths out of the oak that I had. Next I adjusted the height of the saw blade in the sled, and I cut off 2 pieces of wood either end of the lengths I had, so they were of equal length. At this point you want to retain the offcuts.
So now I'm left with these 2 pieces of oak, and they measure just under 180mm. It's 178mm, or 7 inches actually, I think that is. Bang on 7 inches. So I've just done that by eye, 178, 7 inches. So I've just done that by eye really. There's no actual required length. It's whatever suits you. So next job now is I'm going to use I think 120 grit sandpaper, and we'll go over it and finish it off, and work my way up the papers to about I don't know, 240, something like that. Just so it's got a nice smooth finish. So 20 minutes of sanding later, and this is what I'm left with. 2 very nice smooth pieces of oak. The only thing I haven't done is rounded the corners, the edges over, or the corners. I'm not too bothered. It's only a tool you're gonna slide like that, so I don't see how the corners are going to affect you, so I've not bothered doing that. But they're lovely and smooth, slide really easy, so really worth the time to take to sand it down. Right, on to the next step. So now I need to work out the width of this to make sure I actually drew in the middle. So obviously my table saw's out because I did set the saw fence, rip fence, to 20mm. Well, it's actually come up at almost 22 on here. So obviously I need to adjust my table saw. So anyway, if it's coming up to 22mm, then all I need to do is just mark 11mm in at the top, and 11mm at the bottom. Then I can draw a straight line. Let's zoom out. And I can draw a straight line connecting the 2. And I know now that that is the middle of this piece of oak, so when I drill I can drill here and here, and then I can cut out the middle bit. Now for this next bit, you're dictated on the size of drill bit by the size of the bolt you're using. So I'm going to be using a M6 bolt. Why isn't this turning on? I think the batteries are on their way out because it's flashing. As you can see, it's an M6 bolt. So then I will use a I'll use a 6mm drill bit in a drill press. So now I've got to this stage, there's actually there's two things you could do. You could do as I've done and mark from each end of the drill cut to the edges of the other one, and then use a jigsaw to cut it out, or you could go along and drill all the way along, but you have to make sure that you keep everything central and pretty straight to do that, and then you've still got to get in there and finish it off. So what I'm going to be doing is using a jigsaw, put the jigsaw in there and cut these out. So we're back over at the pillar drill. Now I've marked out on here, on this bit of wood, as you can see I used a bradawl. I put the wood I've just cut the hole out in on top like that, and then I marked out using a bradawl where I want to drill. So there's the hole. Now in the bottom, because the bolt I'm using as a rounded shallowed head, I'm going to have to drill out this hole slightly bigger now so this can sit in there flush. So to do that I need to put in a 15mm Forstner bit. Well, as you can see there, my Forstner bit isn't the sharpest, so it did struggle to cut it a little bit, but it sits nice and flush, which is just what I want. So now it's time to glue it in. So I have here some Loctite all-purpose glue, and I will just go around the outside of the hole, and then I will put some just around the bolt around here. I'll somehow manage to clamp this into position and let it set for 10 minutes.
So whilst the glue dried, I used one of the offcuts and cut it to the combined height of the two pieces of wood together.
Right, so now the glue has dried on here. I have secured, put the securing fastener, the fly nut, wing nut, whatever you want to call it, onto the bolt. So let's just try it. So you can lock that nice and tight. That doesn't move. Perfect. I would cut this bolt down, however I've got no hacksaw blades, so I'll have to do that at a later point. So obviously that slides like that now. In the hole it slides. So what we have to do now is what we've just cut on the table saw, I think then, is fit this stop at the end. So all I'm going to do is apply some glue onto here and fire a few brad nails in to hold it into place. I've also, on this end, drilled a small pilot hole for a screw to go into, which we will use to measure the kerf of the table saw blade.
So now you have to line up the width of the blade, the kerf, with the screw in the end. So just adjust it outwards until you think it's the right thickness. Now onto the table sled, put in the piece of material that you wish to cut the dado to the right width and adjust and clamp up in the Kerfmaker. Then using a stop block, put the Kerfmaker into the stop block with the longest cut first. Setting the table saw blade to the right height, of course, and then make your first cut. Next, flip over the Kerfmaker to the shortest cut and make your second cut. Then nibble away at the dado until all the wood is removed, and then you can test the quality of your joint. As you can see here, the cut is a bit too big and the wood is moving about, which is obviously no good. So the way to adjust this is to get the Kerfmaker itself, and the screw at the end needs to be wound outwards. So if it's too loose, wind the screw out. If it's too tight, wind the screw in. This will close up the cut gap. So now I've set it up the other side, so I'm cutting the longest cut first. Swap it around to cut the shortest cut, and then nibble away at the dado again. As you can see with this attempt, the dado cut was actually bang on and the wood sat in there nice and solid. That is a perfect dado, which is the whole point of making the dado maker.